Your guys was good. So back with another video. It's Coach Jared right here. So as you guys can tell, he's pretty jacked. He's been doing yoga for a long time and all these other things, but he's gonna introduce himself based on what his background is and go for it.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Jared. I am a yoga teacher. I'm a personal trainer. I'm an animal flow instructor. And just generally, I'm absolutely in love with bodyweight movement training. I am also a mindfulness coach as well, so I tend to combine those two things, movement and mindfulness, into a fairly holistic style of lifestyle coaching. But yeah, I'm here with Ryan today talking mostly about movement. And we both have backgrounds in corporate life, working corporate desk jobs and things like that. I used to actually work as a technology consultant, and won't get too much into details about what that was, but a lot of things sparked this decision to change my lifestyle, and health was definitely one of the biggest things there. Both physical and mental. Struggled with burnout for a little while before deciding I wanted to change what I did for a living and become a coach and really dedicate myself to health and wellness and explore these practices of movement and mindfulness and all that kind of stuff. So that's really what brought me here today and how we met as well. And that's a little bit about me.
So he kind of mentioned it a little bit, but the topic we're going to talk about today is how to get those big biceps. No, I'm totally kidding. So you know how you mentioned we both had corporate jobs, backgrounds and stuff, so we both had troubles with our postures, right? And that really impacted our training because my neck's hurting, all my lower back's hurting, this is hurting, that's hurting, my hips are tight. That's a lot due to our bad postures because we're on the computer all day working like this, right? We're on our phones all day. So we're going to talk about some importance of posture. You guys can tell how Jared's posture is, pretty good right now. So just improving your posture and how it's impacting your training, and then just some practical tips. You can do at work, you can do at home, you can do before your workouts, you can do it throughout the day. As we preach here, movement throughout the day, that's what's going to actually get you the results, not just that one session, right? So movement overall, and just overall how to improve your posture, right? So Jared, can you tell us the importance of posture, and then let's get into how it's impacting people's training, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the majority of people really do understand 100%. The importance of posture, and you can feel it, right? 100%. Like when you don't have good posture, you end up with those aches and pains at the end of the day. You're getting home or you're driving or whatever it is, and you can feel it when your posture's not great, and you can feel it when your posture is great, right?
100%.
I think everybody watching this video, and ourselves included, if you take a moment to kind of just tune in and check in, especially with your spine and your hips, and think how straight is my spine right now? Could I roll my shoulders back a little bit? Could I kind of sit and lengthen through my spine a little bit? And the second you do that, you feel better. You really do. So it's something you can immediately tune in with throughout your day, right? And it definitely takes a really solid habit of just being aware of your body in space and being aware of the positioning of your body. And I think that is the biggest thing. Honestly, I could probably talk for 100%. Days about posture, and it's not the most simple topic ever. There's a lot that comes into it, but I'm going to try and keep it simple today. 100%. I really believe that there's two parts to this. There's the awareness of it. There's the sort of habitual checking in with yourself. Okay, are my shoulders back? Is my head back? Is my spine straight? Am I kind of getting lazy with my posture? And that takes time. That takes a discipline, and that takes a lot of thought too. You have to check in with yourself regularly 100%. To do that. But the other side of this sort of second half of that equation, I would say, is, how do you train? How do you move? Are you really diving deep into your body, and do you know what kind of postural deviations you have? For a lot of people, because we sit at desks a lot and we work on our computers, the majority of people struggle with the text neck or the computer neck, where they drive their chin forward to look at their screens a lot closer, right? So it's important to work on the text neck and the forward rounded shoulders, because we're tending to do this a lot. So a lot of posterior chain work, especially in the upper back, practicing retracting your shoulder blades or pinching your shoulder blades together. So work if you're calisthenics guys like we are, basic stuff inverted rows or bodyweight rows, pulling exercises like chin-ups and pull-ups or regressions or progressions of those things. That's going to help you a lot with your posture. Another really common thing getting more towards the lower body is anterior pelvic tilt. So what tends to happen is because we sit in chairs a lot, our hip flexors get really tight, and then when we go to stand, we don't actually fully extend through the hips and get standing straight. We kind of stay hunched over like this in this angle, and our hips are really closed. So practicing opening up through your hip flexors, and the biggest thing is strengthening your glutes, especially in their end range of motion. So, you know, maybe you like to practice your squats and stuff like that at the gym. Make sure when you get to the top of your squat, you're really squeezing your glutes and opening up your hips fully at the top of your repetitions. Other sort of simpler movements that you could do anywhere, you don't need weights and stuff. Check out things like glute bridges. You're gonna find tons of YouTube demos and tutorials.
I'll post a couple of videos like right here.
That'd be fantastic. So things like glute bridges will help you to open up your hip flexors and to strengthen your glutes. Those are two really common factors that most people, if you're sitting at a desk, struggle with. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but probably 80% of my clients as a personal trainer, I'm working on those things with them. It's a lot of strengthening of the upper back and the scapular retractors, and a lot of strengthening of the glutes as well. So make sure you're aware of those things. But those are very sort of like generalized tips. It's very important to just kind of get more in tune with your own body and to look at yourself from every joint. So, you know, as personal trainers, one of the first things you do is you'll give your client a physical assessment. And the way I do it, you know, everybody's got a different way, but the way I do it is I start from the toes and I slowly go up from the head, looking at every joint and seeing, like, you know, are things in alignment, what's going on. If you have flat feet or high arches, you've got some postural deviations to deal with. Now, you're not going to tackle those from the feet. You're actually going to tackle those from the hips. If you have flat feet right now, strengthening your glutes is actually going to help you a lot with your flat feet, weirdly enough. If you have high arches, then actually practicing internal rotation at the knees, things like that. I won't get into too much detail, but you can literally start looking at your body with a joint by joint approach and just start diving deeper and learning more about yourself. And the more you know about your body, the better you're going to be able to tune in with yourself in those moments through the day and kind of go, oh, you know what? I have this tendency to really tilt my hips forward, and then when I stand, I don't fully open my hips. So I'm going to, you know, work on squeezing my glutes a little bit more when I walk or whatever, you know? Or I have this tendency to round my shoulders forward. I'm going to try and pinch my shoulders back a little bit more when I sit. Or, you know, for me, it was actually the opposite. If you ever see videos of me, or like, you know, Ron's probably seen me doing weird movements and animal flow in the gym and stuff. I have this wickedly rounded low back, my QLs, and they like stick out like crazy and they're wickedly overdeveloped because I used to sit with a really rounded low back in my chair. And that was my main struggle, was I actually had to focus on really opening up my hamstrings, and to focus on rolling my hips forward again and sitting with a tall straight spine. If I could kind of sum that whole thing up, because I know there's a lot there, basically tune in with yourself regularly through the day. That's number one. Number two is get to know your body a little bit better and aim to correct small postural deviations you've got. So if it's rolled shoulders, pinch them back. If it's that anterior tilt, then you're going to practice squeezing your glutes. But there's a lot of other things there. Really, the straighter you can get your spine, the better your posture is going to be. So if you don't remember anything else from that whole long spiel of stuff I just gave you, just think about lengthening your spine. That's it. Straightening it out, sitting nice and tall. If you do that regularly, you're going to correct your posture. That's probably the biggest thing. Okay.
100%.
So
basically what I got from that too is how you summarized it. And even just me sitting here, I'm like, you know, lengthening my spine, just listening, rolling my shoulders back. I think the biggest thing you can take away, like Jared said, be mindful, right? Just understand how your body moves. Because I think we're like robots sometimes, right? Like we feel if we're sitting like this all day and we're feeling aches and pains, we live with it. We're just like, oh, that's fine. That's that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I have this pain. Oh, it's okay. It's just that's how my life is.
Yeah.
Right? We don't check in with ourselves, right? So I think that's the biggest thing Jared said. Like a lot of times, be aware of how your body moves. Be aware, like if you're sitting like this, if your spine's not neutral, just be aware of it, right? So when he said all that, I'm not gonna repeat it. But one thing I do wanna ask you is, how does breath play into our posture?
Oh man, that's a great question. Yeah, people don't think about this very much. So the more deeply you can breathe, the more likely you're going to be to have a great posture. And part of the reason is again, like those forward rounded shoulders, that text neck, this kind of closing through the front of the body, this collapses the space you have to breathe into. Right? So when you take a deep breath, like if we were to sit here right now and take a deep breath, your chest, your whole anterior chain, everything, your abdominals, your chest, everything expands forward and outward, right? So if your shoulders are collapsed forward, your neck's forward, you're closing off that space you have to breathe into, right? So practicing breath work in and of itself is a great way to improve your posture. And if breath work is something really new to you, or you know, a lot of people see like these really crazy complicated breathwork techniques out there, or they like associate it with some crazy yoga practice or something like that, and they're like, man, that's not for me. It can really be as simple as practicing abdominal breathing. So you can practice putting your right hand on your belly and make sure that you actually breathe using your diaphragm and your abdominals. So as you inhale, you should feel your stomach pushing out, and then as you exhale, you should feel your stomach drawing inwards. And
you exhale through your nose or mouth?
Actually, as long as you're inhaling through your nose, I would argue it probably doesn't matter as much if you're exhaling, or as long as you're not inhaling through your nose, or sorry, through your mouth. Don't want to inhale through your mouth, because your nose. Well, I'm sure we did a video on that whole topic, why you should breathe through your nose. Yes. But I wanted to kind of integrate how it's affecting your posture. It's definitely a very it's a good habit to get into to use your nose for inhales and exhales, and because throughout the day you want to be using your nose as much as possible. But you guys covered that one, right? Just for example, like how he was showing, I used to breathe a lot with my chest. I used to breathe that. You know, like I used to get my chest up, like up and down, instead of how he was showing abdominal breathing, right? So when you breathe in, your stomach should go out. When you breathe out, your stomach should go in, right? So abdominal breathing. So really focus on that. Continue if you had to. Absolutely. So, you know, Ron really stumbled onto a great point there, is most people are chest breathers. And that, again, that plays into posture too, but we're chest breathers and it's really shallow, so it's right? It's like forward shoulders and all that. So what I would say is that focus on learning to breathe with your belly. Once you've built a habit of that, it's actually okay to bring your chest in. Right? It's actually a great thing, because your chest still plays into your inhales and exhales. When you start to get into pranayama and breathwork practice, you learn first to breathe with your diaphragm, and then to breathe with your chest, and then to expand even higher into your shoulders and even into your neck, right? But generally, when you're just breathing through the day, when you're not like sitting and concentrating and focusing on breath work, the work should be done primarily from your stomach or from your diaphragm, basically. So learning to do that will help, but having your shoulders back and having better posture will open up space for your lungs to expand and contract a little bit more with every breath, which is going to make a huge impact on your long-term health. As well as, you know, kind of the reverse of that is true too. So you can use your training to actually open up through your anterior chain. So, you know, for myself as a yoga teacher and a yoga practitioner, back bending, like have you ever seen wheel pose, or you know what that is, or a gymnast would call it a back bridge, where you kind of flip over upside down and you know, I'll post the picture. Perfect. That kind of work opens up your entire front body and creates this incredible space for you to breathe into. So as well as like the way you sit and the way you breathe can impact your posture also impacts the way you breathe. It's a kind of a very reciprocal relationship there. But I think it just comes back to the awareness part of it too, right? So the more aware you are of these things, the more you will improve your posture and as
100%.
in relationship to that, you will improve your breathing as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, like, so he gave a lot of practical tips you guys can start applying right now. The first step, clearly, be aware. Second step, then you can start doing, like the back exercises.
Back bending work and that kind of thing.
Adding some breath work and stuff. So, guys, like, the whole thing is being aware. Understand how your body is moving. Understand that you don't have to stay like this. Understand that if something's tight, you can strengthen another area. Something's tight, you can fix it. It's not just like, you're not gonna stay like that forever. You don't live with the pain, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's a way around it. So.
There absolutely is a way around it. And,
for sure.
It's funny. Like, I'm sure most people would agree with this. Like, when you see somebody who's fit and mobile and strong, they look like they feel good. Right? You can see it in their face. You can see it in their body. Yeah. And obviously, age is a factor. Lifestyle is a factor. Having a desk job, which most of us these days have, is a huge factor. But that doesn't have to be an obstacle you can't surpass. You 100%. Can still have a body that feels great and looks great. You don't have to live with those aches and pains if you build up that awareness and start to do little things that will over time make a big difference. Breathing, a little bit of back bending and posterior chain work, and thinking about your posture throughout the day.
100%. I think that's a good end off point. Jerry made a lot of good points, and hope that helps. And best thing you guys can do, obviously, like, comment, all that stuff, but like, actually improve your posture, right? We're here to help. If you guys need more help, DM Jared. His name is Evolve with Jared on Instagram.
Yeah, Evolve with Jared. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube as well. I'm on TikTok. I'm even on LinkedIn, but it's just Jared Foot on LinkedIn. It's just my name. I'm all over the place, really. So if you guys want to connect, you can do so.
Exactly. So if you need help, we're here to help. That's the whole point of these videos.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Hope this helps, and hopefully you guys improve your posture.
Yeah, thanks for the great conversation, man.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Dropping some knowledge, man. Alright, that's it.
Peace out, guys.
I don't even have like a second.